And here we have, one could even say the triple A. They are Anurupa Roy from New Delhi. We're going to have Adelheid Roosen, if she's with us, and Aina Tour. They're all A's, and they're great workers in the theater. And we have Anurupa now here with us. Anurupa, how are you? Last time you were supposed to be on Seagull Talk, you were in the hospital.
Yes, that's right. I made it out in one piece, so I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit, what has happened since we talked?
Many things apart from being sick. We had the second wave of COVID in India, and of course in New Delhi. New Delhi was very badly affected. We were all chasing oxygen cylinders, hospital beds, steroids, doctors. All of that was happening, and I was unfortunately one of the people who needed hospitalization. It was quite a severe situation. It was quite a serious condition, I think, which began sometime in April. Until April, we were excited and happy that things were coming back to some sort of a normal, and a lot of work had begun in the artists community. And I think things went south April onwards. Yeah.
And your father also,
yes,
got sick. And
yeah. So we were actually, it started with him and his oxygen levels falling very severely, and then just I got sick pretty much chasing oxygen cylinders for him, and then chasing treatment for him. I think that was, a lot of us were as caregivers were very vulnerable to being sicker than we needed to be at that point, and also not really knowing where to go till of course I have to admit it's just individual and the artists community which came in very large numbers to support. I think I sent a message on Facebook in absolute desperation. I had already been gypped in the black market for an oxygen cylinder. I was searching for cylinders everywhere. For medicines, we were out of medicines in most of the shops. A thermometer, which is normally 50 rupees, was 450 rupees. So there was all sorts of things going on. I put this post on Facebook, and miraculously people started sending cylinders home. I then suddenly had 4 oxygen cylinders. Because this was just a response from the artist community. So I think it was a very intense crisis, but I think the kind of response from private individuals, some of them were not even known to me, they were not even friends or acquaintances, was absolutely moving. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit what you do, Anurupa. What are you in your life? I know you're in the field of puppeteers,
yes.
But tell us a little bit about you and your work.
So I'm a puppeteer, and I make puppets, design puppets. I co-founded a puppet theater company in 1998, which is called Katkatha Puppet Arts Trust. And we're essentially a touring puppet theater company. We also run a little community theater space for children. We work in the outskirts of New Delhi in a village called Jaitpur. And we also do a lot of projects around the country, which are health, education, advocacy,
Yeah, I remember from our last talk, you said, when you said, we looked out of my window and I saw these 500,000 people leaving, in New Delhi. So, that moment, I mean, it shocked me even. It was the hardest of all the Seagull talks. I think the one was you and Abhishek. So maybe, did it happen again? Maybe bring us back to that moment and then tell us.
So this is right after the first lockdown, which was announced in a real hurry. And I mean, it threw everyone off, but it's a moment where I actually went out to buy groceries in a little bit of a panic. And there were people, and apparently they'd been walking the whole night. There were literally thousands of people. And of course, now we know that the numbers are millions, who were leaving the city and also the neighboring areas, and they were going back to their villages. And I live on a main arterial road which connects the east of the country and to an extent for the north, for the south as well. And there were literally thousands of people walking with everything they owned, their children, their luggage, dogs, cats, animals, parents, people on their back. And there was no food or water because it was a complete shutdown. And the first day went by, I think, in all of us watching in shocked horror. I don't think I've seen things like this except for, partition visuals and documentaries. And then, of course, somebody in the neighborhood had this moment of we have to do something. And the next morning, at about 6:30, money was collected. A shop was opened, and they procured things from the godown, and about 200 or 300 odd packed dishes were cooked, and a food distribution began. So this was the beginning, and this went on for 6 or 8 days. And at that point, we realized that there was a need for a further collection of money. And we also started getting phone calls from the puppetry community, especially the ones which were settled in the city. So the Katputli, which is the Rajasthani string puppeteers, they are not only in New Delhi, and they had recently experienced the demolition of their old colony, which was called Katputli Colony, and they in Shadipur, and they were now scattered in 3 parts of Delhi. So one urgent call was from the magician community, the street magician community. They're called Madaris. So there were about 56 families in Ghaziabad. The government there had said, sorry, you are not from Delhi. I mean, the Delhi government said you were outside our purview. The government there said you were outside our purview. Then we started getting calls from Jaipur and Udaipur in Rajasthan saying, we have no food. So these are daily wage working artists. They go out and earn an income for that specific day. So it turned into calling artists in the local space, and the artists calling then various things like women's self-help group, the Rotary Club, the Freemasons. I mean, all sorts of people came in. And I would say Rajasthan state government actually jumped up and came to the aid of the Rajasthani puppeteers. But in Ghaziabad, it was terrible. So we put out most of the shows, which were well recorded, into the digital space. And we did a fundraiser, which raised about 2.5 lakh rupees in a matter of 2 weeks, which went to for dry rations to the families. And so this kind of a food network began, and there were several other theatre companies doing this. I know Abhishek was doing this in Bangalore. There were people doing this in Chandigarh. There were people doing this across Delhi as well. And slowly a network started to form, which has been an incredible network, which has got further strengthened the second time round, because when I was sick, I actually got so many calls from the network because my mother was home alone and also down with COVID. And my sister was home alone down with COVID. And so where would food come from? And it was the network which came in. So I think it's quite incredible, this symbiotic network which has come in when there's a complete failure of the government machinery and the medical system.
So a network you helped to create ultimately came to help you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell us a bit. I also Abhishek, what did you say? No, if not, Anurupa, you talked about that village of artists, and I didn't fully understand, but if I understood, it's 10, 15,000. Is that true? Artists who kind of, tell us a little bit about that village. And you said it was, especially in that community that could not work, there was devastating situation. So tell us a little bit about what it is. I never heard of such a city, and what happens and how is the situation?
So it used to be something that settled in the late 70s, a community of street performers and artists, also puppeteers, acrobats, fire eaters, animal tamers, street magicians. So it's essentially a community which has about 16 different art forms living together. They all belong to the same sort of, they have the same sort of cultural identity. They are called the Bhat community, which is a wandering performing community. And they trace their roots. I mean, they're supposed to be the Romas technically, so they're gypsies. And this community settled in Shadipur, which at once upon a time used to be the outskirts of the city, now is very much a part of the city, and also a very commercially rich part is where they were settled. And their land was sold to a very big land developer through the one of the government agencies. There was a long discourse between the artist community, and the courts were in favor of the artist community. I would say on the one hand was the systemic corruption, on the other hand also was the artists who couldn't unite at that point and become a strong union. So the artist groups were actually put into transit camps, and so there are three transit camps, one which houses a huge population of about 2,300 families, another with another 600-700 families, and then the small community of street magicians, which is about 58 families, went further afar. The transit camps are not in the most savory parts of the city, of course. The camps themselves are okay. I mean, the way they were built up. Now the houses that were promised to the artists are ready, and they're decent houses, but it doesn't take into consideration that these are artists who rehearse every evening. You can't give them a little box apartment and say, here, this is where you're going to live now. They need spaces. They need rehearsal spaces, performance spaces, spaces to keep their animals. So, so I think these are some of the crises that had already hit this community. Apart from this, they also exist in three other cities. They are in Rajasthan, in Udaipur and Jaipur. And currently, we've had a massive crisis in Bhopal, which is in Madhya Pradesh. So then the crisis is of food. So the big crisis is rations and food. In the second round, I would say there is a very strong unity within the community now. There's a young man, one of the Bhats, Vijay Bhat, who's set up an NGO and is now taking care of the food needs of the community. They got very quickly the ration coupons from the government, etc. But the smaller communities are really marginalized, and food still remains one of the key crises. So the Puppeteers Union, UNIMA in India, is now looking at the food crisis and how to get food livelihood, some amount of money to puppeteers across the country. We've also had two natural calamities, two cyclones, which has hit the eastern coast. So Orissa and West Bengal are very badly affected. So the puppeteers who didn't have food, didn't have work, now also don't have homes. So within the artists community, what we find is when a crisis like this hits, they stop being performers. They become construction workers or go into nursing care. So that's something we're getting from the field over and over again is we're quitting and we're moving on. So the current crisis, the response to the current crisis has been an archival project. So we are trying to send small amounts of money for short documentations of the work of the puppeteers. And it sees them through 3 or 4 months. And helps them do some basic construction if their houses got destroyed, pay for rations, pay for phone bills, etc. And we get archival material in the Puppeteers Union because I don't know if you know this, but puppetry archival material is very rare. Yeah. And we don't have too much material of all the living traditional art forms, which is about 17 or 18 of them across India.
So this is a real emergency at the moment. Do you think it's life-threatening situations for some artists?
Yes, I think it threatens the art form in a very, very big way. I think there's a real incentive among the artists to leave, to stop. And I was recently, and he'll be tomorrow. He'll be at the chat. I was talking to a shadow puppeteer from Karnataka, and in his community, he wants to do shows. But it's difficult because half the puppeteers have left. They've gone to the main city, Bangalore, and they're working as nursing care staff because post-COVID, a lot of the people in the cities actually need full-time nursing.
Yeah.
And they will stop puppet theater in the long run is the fear.
That is a big fear. Just for me to know, did you prepare a reading? Will you do something or should we continue? Yeah, you have a reading? Yeah, that would be great if you want to share it.
Reading, and I think it's time because there are only 5 minutes left. This is from a piece when I was, one of the days when we were distributing food, I met a little girl called Sitara. She was wearing her best party frock for this walk. And I was fascinated. I asked her name. She was 11 years old. They had walked from Manesar. They were going to walk to Gonda. That was 586 kilometers for an 11-year-old child to walk. and they had only eaten once in the last 26 hours. So this is a friend of mine in Bombay, Aditi Mendiretta, who's imagined why she was wearing her party frock, and also the fact that she was probably going to catch a bat. So this is a small extract from the end of the story. It's become a little paper theater performance, which is being used to raise funds for the various people walking home. So here it is, the girl in the pink frock, an extract. Today is food day, and I'm in a good mood. There are lots of trees where we are walking, and today again, some people came and gave us food and water. I like when people come to see us. It's brave of them. They give us food to keep our strength up. Otherwise, what would be the point? If we reached that bat, hungry and weak, it would eat us all up. And they would have to start again with new people, no? I do wish they would give us more food though. This finishes so fast. I still feel hungry. I feel hungry all the time. But today is still a good day. Father was feeling strong and he carried me on his shoulders, so I didn't have to walk much. He's so tall. I feel like I can reach up and touch the sun as it vanishes and appears and vanishes and appears from in between the trees and the leaves. I pretend that the sun and I are playing a game of hide and seek. I think I must be winning because the sun has got so angry and it's making my face sweat. He's just like Bittu, the sore loser. I'm not going to play anymore. I hide my face in my father's back and fall asleep. I dream that I'm a lizard, and then I'm a kitten, and I eat the lizard. It was a very strange dream. And it's already night by the time my dream ends and we stop. Father puts me down back on my feet. I feel like running, but Ma says, Sitara, stay close. Everyone sleeps on the side of the road, but I'm not sleepy anymore. I lie awake and I count the stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I wonder how many more days till we find the bat. I hope not more than 20. I can't count more than 20. Thank you.
Amazing. That's the little girl in her best dress, and she has nothing to eat.
No.
And she does not know what the future will bring. And this is quite stunning. And there's a difference. Normally read about it, or I read about it. We have seen movies about it. We read poems. We read stories. But you are going through that at the moment, especially your colleagues, puppeteer colleagues and others. I can only imagine how devastating it is. And to think what Abhishek always pointed out, it is not that India doesn't have the resources. It is, bad management. It is, the state not coming up to the challenge. And it is quite, are they bitter about it? How is the mood in between the artists, in between?
I think the desperation is really high. And on the other hand, some of them are really trying, because this is the first time I've seen traditional artists going digital and, really saying, I want to keep performing, even if it means I have to do it on Zoom, or even if it means I have to record my shows. So there is this desire to do anything that they have to. And it has definitely helped them make some changes. But on the other hand, like I said, there is also a lot of hopelessness.
Yeah, incredible. Well, now the two other, as I said, the two other A's are joining. We have a triple A of really great workers in the field of theater. Adelheid, so wonderful that you joined us. You are still on mute. Also, Aina, so Adelheid, who is normally based in the Netherlands, is traveling at the moment. Aina, who is from Barcelona. Who are changing us. So Anurupa, thank you again. You both might not have heard it, but it's so devastating, the situation in India at the moment. Artists who are leaving the job behind, people are literally starving, families who cannot be fed, especially in that town. Also Anurupa supports us out of 10,000 people who are street performers, moving performers, magicians, fire eaters, and whatever. And it is quite a devastating place. So maybe we start, since we have it on our agenda, Adelheid first. Adelheid, if you take away your mute button, and we want to hear where you are, and hear a quick hello, and maybe we also say quick hello to Aina. Are you in Barcelona, Aina? Are you there?
Yes, I am in Barcelona. Hi,
yeah, thank you so much. So Adelheid, tell us a little bit, where are you and what are you doing?
Hello, Frank. What a wonderful, wonderful initiative. It really touches me what you are doing. Beautiful.
Thank you for being part of it.
Really, really beautiful. I am in Amman, in Jordan. But I like to add some words because when I speak to you, I feel my tears.
Yeah.
Really from my heart. I saw already a lot today. I followed the conversations as much as I could. And I think you are really acting. Can you say acting out or acting through the no, acting through the, everywhere where the no is or where the hesitation is or where the but is, and you are just doing the job.
Yeah, no, it was really inspired by Abhishek, I know you heard it, that, and people like Anurupa who stayed up night after night. Abhishek even learned how to repair oxygen machine. He's a playwright, a director, and I remember that Siegel talk. He said that now when I hang up with you, I have 114 people on my list who I'm still going to talk to. And he said one evening, he said I have 5-6 meals I can distribute in the neighborhood, or 10, and there are 2,000 people on the list. It's just incredible. But Adelheid, tell us a little bit. Not everybody knows you. Tell us a little bit who you are, what you do.
I'm artistic leader of a theater group called Xena, a female economy. It's based in Amsterdam. And we worked the whole period till today through the whole Corona period in the neighborhoods for the people who were isolated, the violence against women and children, the isolation, the connection. There is a lot to do, I think, around the world. So I feel grateful also to take maybe sometimes risk to get ill, but I think where the heart is, you should go and you should walk.
Yeah, it's some people don't know if I hopefully represented Adelheid. One of her ideas was, she went on a bike with her team through the streets. I think it was Amsterdam, and she pressed doorbells, or people went into their apartments and said, we are interested in your life, in you. We would like to do a performance in your space. Is that possible? And then she organized in neighborhoods, 4 or 5 connected performances you could see in a time, and in the same time, a radical approach. I think it is what Tania Bruguera, the great Cuban artist, said, why we have the French Revolution behind us, but we all still go to palaces and look at their thing. We should look at the lives of our people where we live and what we do. This is a democracy, after all, and you are doing it. So Adelheid, how can you do this now in the time of COVID? I was wondering, how does it work?
Yeah, sometimes I feel it difficult to find the words for the very easy, clear, small things in life, because it's all about connection. It's being vulnerable. I call it even, but then in a nice way, training vulnerability, training to talk with tears, training to embrace but really hold somebody, training to really, really listen so that you can receive somebody and empty yourself, and feel, even in the worst circumstances, feel that the world is people. There are only people. I meet every day people who I do not know, but who are, in my opinion, exactly the same as who I am.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you have been recognized with the Kwani Gildner Award that's giving out every 4 years to a remarkable woman, female director in the world. You were in the Netherlands, it was, if I'm right, you know, Vogue said she's the woman of the year. So, and now you're in Jordan. So what are you doing in Jordan in the time of Corona? What is happening?
Well, I was visiting a friend, and I was invited years ago on the International Theater, Amman International Theater Festival. I made a performance years ago about honor revenge. Mm-hmm. And I was very touched and surprised that that this festival invited me with the performance, because they have the highest, I don't know nowadays, but then nowadays, like 8 years ago, they had the highest numbers in killings. And I made some beautiful friends over here. Samar Dudeen, for example, I'm going to visit her and see her again. And because it's a Corona time, I also realized, like, oh, I don't know, you know, I just don't know. I don't know with the life. So I thought, yeah, when do I visit old friends? I made theater with them. I had beautiful adventures. I was 3 times on the festival in Jordan, and also in Egypt and in Syria, and you know in the Middle East, and I thought, well, life goes on, and when will I see them? And you know, the next time.
That's true.
Sometimes only because you are invited for a festival, and then I thought, why not go on holiday to them? You know, why go to the sea? Why not go to my friends in Jordan?
That's incredible. And thank you for interrupting your holiday. I remember your talk with us and Melanie Joseph, the great Melanie and the founder, so well. So has anything new thoughts come up in your mind about when it comes to theater, Corona, or new theater, this theater we need, what we should be doing, or in your work, is something developing?
Well, oh yeah, what a nice question. Yeah, there were several things, which was very and still is very inspiring. And what I'm working on now is it's called Wanted, or I call it Wanted, and it's about dating. I do it with people, the young people, so also my class, the actors school in Amsterdam, with people till 80 or 82 is the oldest. And it's Wanted is for, like it's nowadays, like, can we date with each other? Be also in that conversation, being in that date, being very open and vulnerable and curious, but also date. Actually, for example, when I date with you, Frank, then it's like that I, through you, can meet myself. So what is my own blind spot? Where did I made, not that's a problem, but where did I make my, mistakes? Where were my blind spots in relationships? And so it's a deeper layer than the normal dating, what we do like this. But we try to learn in that process. It's like an experiment. We do it with many, many people. The conversation, the dialogue is 1 hour. We are just sitting across each other. And we are dating, actually using you in the conversation, so strangers, and reflecting on yourself because you have so many judgmental things. You have so many, how do you say that, values or opinions. But where can I really meet you and honor you as a man, or honor the lady in front of me, and connect to the erotic flow, which is not the sexual flow, but the erotic flow of creation, and mirroring each other.
Yeah, that's especially at a time when you cannot meet, right? And when you, I mean, like the time of my daughter, you know, who is 24, 25, who was a bit more extroverted. Also, it's hard. You know, you cannot go out. You don't meet people. You can meet people. Actually, are here in New York, they're meeting online, have a relationship, and they break up online without ever having seen each other. And so in this time, you know, of COVID, of course, it means, what does it really mean to meet someone, and what is it all about?
For example, what was very nice, I could use the main hall theater, so we were spread out, you know, over the whole building, and then we could see each other and have the distance of the 2 meter. And have all our own quiet corners.
So you did it in Amsterdam in a very big theater, and part audience were actors and some were audience members, and they rotated.
Yeah. So that's the experiment where I'm in now. So it's not a performance yet, but it's rehearsing. We have to rehearse while doing. And I also did it outside in parks. And because that was the thing in the Corona, I wanted to, in the dialogue, I wanted to go deeper in the conversation, deeper in the encounter, instead of what Corona is doing. So it was so, oh yeah, well, it was, I was amazed. I met so many people I didn't know, and after 10 minutes we were in, unfolded ourselves.
So yeah, perhaps.
And then in very, how do you say that, subtle and intimate, let's say, information about yourself. How do you, some people didn't say, like, I didn't kiss in 20 years. It's something I miss. I do not know how to embrace the whole, what in Corona is not possible, finding words for being not connected, but also being not connected before Corona even happened to us. Find that whole intimate body, that energetic, intimate body, which is not, we do not educate ourselves, we do not educate each other to open up that very intimate body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for me the challenge, to go straight through not through the Corona rules, but through the Corona, what the Corona was showing us, for the not touching. But then I started to be so interested, like, what can we not touch in ourselves?
Wow, that sounds like it's a real, in a way, a Corona piece that comes out of perhaps always on your mind, but the urgency of it is stronger. How is the situation in Amsterdam? I know you're in Jordan now, but how do theater? Are they open? Do people wear masks? Is it a small performance? It's a big one.
After 1 year and 4 months, I played the last 10 days of June. I could play.
Oh.
So it was the piece we had to stop in March last year. and we picked it up at the end of June. But now the country opened up, in Holland opened up half of June. But now the numbers are raising among the young people, the young generation, because discos are open, parties, festivals, and now it's.
And they are not vaccinated, right? They are, no,
not
a
yet.
lot of them, yeah.
Or only one.
Oh, I only have one. So how was it to reopen something that you closed a year and a half ago, and then you, kind of like a film cut, and you go fast forward? How was the experience of it?
Well, we had the play we played is with 4 actors, and they are all above the 60 till 78, the 4 of us. And we were like young sheep in spring on a fresh meadow.
Mm-hmm.
It was, we could first play with 50 people. And after a week, it opened up for 100 people. And then, of course, everybody was 1.5 meter, with 1.5 meter distance. But in the theater, without
masks.
Yeah, the masks. Thank you. And now now the government closed it again.
Yeah, it's closed again.
Yeah, but parts what they opened in June, parts of it they closed. And they leave, for example, cafes outside is okay, but inside, yeah, because of the numbers who are raising.
Yeah. And how is it in Jordan on the streets when you go around? How's the feeling there?
It's like if I forget. I was on the market in Jordan, and I forgot it.
So it is the idea of a vacation, actually, that you forget.
Well, maybe it's, I'm realizing it now. Now you are asking. I'm realizing it now in this moment. Maybe because it's not, you know, it's for me a new environment. I was for hours on the market. I forgot.
Incredible, incredible. Well, these live in extraordinary time. And that what Anurupa just said also about India, you know, the kind of devastating, you know, reality, you know,
yeah.
in Amsterdam and in Jordan, you know, we are all slices of reality of that work here, but it is such different experiences, you know, of reality. What are your plans? Do you have plans, Adelheid? Do you still make plans, or you say we don't really know what will happen in Amsterdam when it comes to theater?
Yeah, the new, let's say, theater installation. Of course, I made it into an installation form because of the corona.
Yeah.
So also what I just told you where it is about, but also the form is an installation form so that I can spread it out, and not in a theater. And
could be anywhere.
Yeah. And also I'm in dialogue with a museum right now, because the space is, you know, bigger, and maybe we want to use headphones so that public is free to walk and sit any place they want and then listen. And we are wired. And we are developing, the first thing I'm going to do is, so I have to test, I think every day, but I have 2 vaccine shots already, because I'm going to make television series in September, October till half November about the Alzheimer people.
Yeah, I remember.
Because of the whole isolation, it's the 3rd series I'm going to make for television now with the same
Yeah. That is amazing. This is a subtle reminder from our Indian colleagues. We are moving slowly to the next segment, but I remember that you had this engagement with the idea of losing memory, getting older, and the Alzheimer, you know, what does it really mean and what it is. But let's switch to Barcelona, right? Aina, that is where you are. Tell us a little bit. You are Salah Beckett, right? And tell us a little bit about you and what you are doing. And I remember our Siegel talk so well. Aina said, you know, cannot believe it, but I put on my headphones, I'm at home, and I dance for a long time, right, to the song. So how is life for you?
My wall, that one. I was dancing this song every day, once or twice during the lockdown. So now we are a little bit better. And first of all, thank you, Frank, for the invitation and for the confidence. I'm so glad to be here. And I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Aina. I'm a playwright and also a cultural manager. And currently I'm overseeing programming at Salah Beckett, and also I'm a member of the advisory committee in Centro Dramático Nacional, the National Theatre in Spain. And I publish theater, narrative, and essay. And now one of my plays, after 1 year waiting, A Galaxy of Fireflies, it's on and it's programmed in the Greek festival, that is the summer festival, the Scenic Art Summer Festival here in Barcelona, and I'm so happy. And after we arrived here, after being programmed in Madrid and in some other theaters around Spain, and during autumn and winter, we are going to tour around with the play, and I'm so happy for that.
Yeah, and for everybody who doesn't know, Salah Beckett is a very significant and important play in the theater of Spain, but especially Catalan's theater, of course, and in Barcelona, it's important, but somehow kind of a royal court, you know, in a way of Spain. How is the situation there at the moment?
Yeah, the situation here in Spain due to the pandemic, it's very complicated because despite most of the population, it's not most of them, but we started vaccination. How do you say?
Vaccination.
Yeah, vaccination. It's very different how we pronounce it.
Yeah.
The vaccination starts a few months ago, but not everyone is vaccinated yet, and the infections increase a lot the last weeks, and they need to apply some restrictions again. Now we have curfew again. We had curfew during a year.
Oh, you have it again, yeah.
Yeah, and we have it till last week. We have to be at home here, and just in some parts of Spain, but here in Barcelona, we have to be at home at 1 a.m. and police is in the street. And if they find you in the street after 1 a.m., they give you a fine. And it's complicated because most of the young people is not vaccinated yet, and there are a lot of infections, and we don't know what is going to go on again. But I have to say that mortality decreased a lot. Now the hospitals are saturated, still collapsed, but the mortality decreased.
Decreased, so that's good. Yeah, you know, I know the Greek festival opened, and there's also a big music festival, and all of a sudden also numbers went up again. So tell us about your play. So your play is going to open? You worked on it in this time of Corona.
Yeah, no, I wrote it after Corona, but I was supposed to have.
Are we after Corona? Can we say that?
After Corona, no, before Corona. Sorry, after Corona.
Oh.
No, it's my wish, you know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
And no, I wrote it down before Corona, and we're supposed to open to do the premiere last year, last July, during the Greek festival too, and we need to stop it. But then we have the premiere in Temporada Alta in Girona in autumn. Then we were supposed to be in Barcelona again, but they closed the theaters again. And now we are fine because we spent 1 month here in Barcelona, and we have a lot of places to go, and we are going to be on tour, and that's nice. But I spent 1 year with the team like that. Don't worry, it's okay. Just save your energy for the project, and being always very implicated and trying to get them alive, you know, and fire alive. And finally, we are here.
That's incredible. Yeah. Someone said before we were resuming our rehearsals, but you cannot unhear Zoom. You know that people went back. You know, resume. And they said, and actually it was we did it online. We resumed online, and it's quite a new world. But have you been able to write? Did you write also since our last conversation? Are you working on a play? Are you putting something together? I remember you said I have to take a break. This is serious. You cannot just pretend nothing is going on. But are you reflecting?
I'm gonna read something now during the August, because I asked to be in a kind of prize for playwrights, and I need to write a short play. But I couldn't write too much, and I prepared a text because and I wanted to read it if you want.
Yes, please. We want you to tell us about what you're going to read. Give us some context.
You told us that if you want, we can just get some.
We want you. Yeah.
And I think that it's summarizing the feeling I have about creation, no? And I include this text in an intervention that I adapted a bit because it was a long intervention, and I've been working on it for today. And in this intervention, I need to talk about dystopias and how writers were facing the pandemic. And the text I'm going to read is inspired by Otto Neruda's metaphor, and he uses the similitude in between the complex task of creating scientific knowledge and the sailors who must rebuild their boat or their ship when they are in the middle of a storm, using the same old timbers from which it was built. And there is no possible shelter, no dry dock in which to operate comfortably, no complete and detailed construction plans, no store of new materials and adequate tools. And I applied this metaphor to talk about creation. So I want to dedicate this reading to all the people who has lost their beloved ones due to the pandemic, especially the ones in India, because we are doing this for them. And the title is The Same Storm, We Are Lost. For many months, more than a year, all humanity is affected by the same storm. And each one of us, clutched to his boat, tries to weather it. An infinite numbers of boats without direction, without answers, without understanding anything, sailing a days, giving themselves up to chance, imploring whoever it may be to help them find the least horrifying course. In all these boats, we, the crew, are disconsolate and would sell our souls to the devil if we could moor this battered ship in a safe harbor, in a place from where we could watch what is happening in order to understand it. But no, it's not possible. Reality overwhelms. The ship sinks, and we must rebuild it. Disorder oozes from our restless minds as we try to organize these stories, to find words, to explain ourselves, and to explain this strange becoming under the cover of fiction. The letters, the words, like our course, organize themselves in confusion. And I have the feeling that the old pens no longer serve to describe what is happening. From the deck, we hear echoes, desperate cries, coming from distant vessels, interfering in our synapses and paralyzing our tired hands that keep fighting to keep us afloat. Desperate words and more desperate words knocking down our possible walls. Questions and more questions invite me, while I try to avoid the most terrible, the wrapper up. What the ship sinks. My hands, exhausted, are unable to work with precision. Disoriented, they try in vain to restore the structure of the ship. The storm does not abate, and when we manage to repair some damage, other major damage occurs. What if I jumped off the boat, jumped into the water and swam to a port? I don't dare, and I continue with the arduous task, the reconstruction of the boat, of the keel, of the story. The night arrives, and taking turns, we get ready to dream. Entering the cabin, I lie down on the bed and review papers, notebooks, scribbles written when the storm strident had not yet burst my hands. Nothing seems interesting to me. No possible scenario cheers my spirit. Why? Another question, unanswered. Hours and hours trying to understand, trying to fabulate, without success. I decide to close my eyes, as the others, my art colleagues, have done, and with all my strength, I invoke that God that numbs and repairs. It doesn't work, and I accept it. One more sleepless night, as almost always. I see myself to my boatmates' narcosis, trying to find peace, but the notes that rush into their pillows are not peaceful at all. Bats, chips, humans living like hamsters, disoriented scientists, traces, provisions, friends having parties inside the computer, dead people, collapsed cemeteries. What a nightmare. Somebody please get me out of here, please. I want beauty. I beg for parentheses. I need to escape. I go out on the deck, sweetie, and I shout. You, creators, artists, writers, where are you taking us today? What are those stories that should inspire us? What possible worlds will you invent will help us to find some peace of mind? You, if you can understand the present, please tell me about your dreams, tell me about your ships, and please wake me up only with the promise that this reality has not overwhelmed your fiction. Please, creators, artists, writers, wake me up with the touch and the sound of your artwork.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that is so beautiful, and what a metaphor of that boat that is sinking, and you're trying to repair the boat while it's sinking with the material you have, and you say it does not work, and the safe harbor for the battleship, you know what you use for, and this and someone should get us out of here. So yeah, it's a big question what you raise. Anurupa and Adelheid, what are your thoughts when you hear that, when you hear the poem?
Are you asking?
No, yeah, Adelheid and Anurupa. Yeah. What comes to your mind?
I write it down.
Yeah.
Well, I must say, I did feel like I was on a sinking ship a couple of times in the last few years, last 2 years. And I completely resonate with that visual metaphor. Yes, I do. So it's very powerful.
Thank you. I thought it was a beautiful thing to share with creators and all the people that is feeling lost right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all hope that someone is listening. But maybe, you know, I think there's that old Brecht poem where people say, will there be art in the dark times? What will people sing about? And he says, yes, there will be art times, and they will sing about the dark times, you know, and in a way that's is what we are doing now, how to find a form for it. And have you, Aina, in your community in Spain, have people not survived it, or has it been kind of a safe space in Barcelona?
Yeah, not people very close, because I don't know why, but yes, beloved ones from people that are close to me, and it's so sad. And also it's that feeling that now I'm vaccinated, is the word. But that feeling that for 1.5 years, I feel that I could die.
Yeah.
Because I could die always, not just because of Corona, but the feeling that something were there that could kill me or kill my beloved ones, it was so stressful, no? And I think we didn't give the time to process that and give the space to talk about that. I know it's a dark or sad thing, but we need to talk more about that and face it, just face it to get out of here in a sane way, you know? And
Aina, yeah, sometimes the sound is a bit difficult, but I also wanted to add to what Anurupa was saying and what Frank was asking, that it were not only the words, but it was also your intonation. I loved so much your voice.
Oh, thank you.
So I really heard your heart. I was really touched by I thought you can stand on a big square behind a microphone and then really, and then really touches like people. That is also the association I had. So I would jump in your boat.
That would be a pleasure.
But Adelheid, going to Aina's question, so what should the creators, what should they sing about? What do you feel, Adelheid, at the moment? And Anurupa, we have about three minutes left, but what do you sing? What should we sing about? What should be in the center of what we are doing?
I think what is very clear is the urgency of everything we do. I think I have never felt so compelled to really know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't think I don't feel like I can just indulge in it. I think I need the stories I'm telling them with a certain urgency because the time seems to be running out. Time is not what we have on our side. And it really matters what stories you tell, because there is also a really loud mainstream narrative. And it seems it's up to us, the artists, to make sure the whispered narrative is also heard, and not just one kind of mainstream narrative that is heard. I mean, in various contexts. In the Indian context, as you would know, there's a mainstream political narrative, and we are fighting very hard to be heard and bring in the narratives which are slowly being pushed aside. Even in COVID, it's always been about the mainstream versus the whispered narrative. So I think I feel the urgency of that very, very, very much.
I want to add something, if it's possible.
Yeah.
And it's not about creation, it's about how they are managing situation. And I think it's good to talk about that in this 24-hour round for India, no? I want to add that despite the situation is hard to manage and tiring, we are lucky here in Spain, in Europe, in North America, and we need to be conscious of our privilege as citizens from a rich country. We have the tools to prevent infections. They are testing us all the time, and the sanitary institutions are working well to give us the better treatment for everyone who is suffering a symptomatic corona infection. But I'm deeply shocked with the situation in poor countries as India. I cannot understand how pharmaceutical companies are still doing business with the world pandemic situation. We are in a point that all the world citizens should have access to vaccination. And it's the only way that we have to stop mortality all over the world. And I beg for that. Please give vaccines to everyone.
Yeah. I think it's a real call to distribution of wealth, of distribution of medicine, of education, of access to democratic political tools. So, yeah, Adelheid, we're going to go out, but have you some last?
I'm sorry to get serious, but
no, it's very serious. This is what this is about. We have to say, and it showed in India, politics does matter. Who is in charge? It does matter. This is not, you know, some God-given fatal plague by the gods. This is something that something can be handled, can be done better, could perhaps even be prevented. And we need an urgent call, you know, to those in power that, you know, this has to be, things have to be different.
Yeah.
Well, I focused all the time on what I can manage in the time at the moments I live. So I do it like a constant flow and not as a part of my life. I can. That is what I think. If everybody, you know, can reflect on listening and really encountering, and even if it's one glance in an hour or one glance even in a day, but really to connect and to give each other value, because you are the same human being. That is for me always the source.
Yeah, really. Thank you, Aina. Thank you, Adelheid. Thank you, Anurupa. You're the AAA. Really so wonderful to have you all with us. And I hope one day you guys can meet and we all meet. Thank you. We're going to transition now to our next slot. Thank you. Really.